And you're listening to 103.5 FM WLSP LP Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.
Welcome to another edition of the Schmozcast. I'm Frony in the studio with Chandler, Aiden, and Andre. Fellas, how we doing?
Doing great tonight.
I'm doing very well.
Aiden knows a secret.
Ooh.
Keep it that. If
So-
you're referring to NXT, keep it that,
For
pal.
context, I have just watched NXT and I know who did it.
Okay,
And
yeah.
based on our little,
no.
based on our little interaction, I think I know who did it too, but I'm not gonna say anything either. But,
You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, boy.
That's all I'm
Don't-
saying. That's it.
Don't you Ben Wong me. No spoilers, all right? No
We don't do that around
spoilers.
here.
We don't do that around here. Well, maybe sometimes.
Sometimes. But this is one of those times.
Yes, we won't do it. We got a lot to talk about. We got Evolution coming up this weekend, the all-women pay-per-view. To get things started, though, let's go into the Roman Reigns thing. Andre, you want to start us off?
Yeah, this is actually this is a real thing. This is not storyline. This isn't kayfabe. This is anything like that. Joe, how do you pronounce the last name?
Hanoi.
He is the man behind the character of Roman Reigns, and if you haven't already heard, he is battling leukemia. So he unexpectedly gave up the Universal Championship on Monday night, 2 nights ago, in a very heartfelt speech, which by the end of it had the crowd all behind him chanting "Thank you, Roman," and also there was a "Thank you, Roman" chant on SmackDown. It's a very heavy thing. It's not like it's not, like I said, it's not storyline. So it's really sad, honestly, because I've had my opinions on the way he's been booked, and I don't even want it to be about that. It's sad. I'd rather him out there as Universal Champion and defending the title than this. It's just very sad, because he's a real person with a real family and real loved ones, a real daughter, and he's fighting leukemia, which is very serious. So my heart goes out to him and his family, and I'm hoping that I never thought I'd say this, but I'm hoping that we see Roman Reigns back again very soon and holding that championship again.
Wow, you even went as far as to add the championship in there.
Well, because it's kind of he didn't lose it,
Right, and that's
and what I feel about the booking, whatever.
Yeah.
He didn't lose it. He should get it back.
Neither did Finn Balor.
Right, and I think that him and Kevin Owens should have gotten their rematches.
Well, Finn Balor technically did. Kevin Owens has not gotten his official
Universal
rematch yet.
Championship. He went to SmackDown in between.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but Who knows? We'll see what happens. I'll just hopefully, first and foremost, that he ends up being all right and surviving this. But
Aiden, what did you think
Well,
of this
as
segment and your opinion coming into this of Roman Reigns?
well, my opinion's always been he's a great wrestler. He just
Mhm.
kind of hasn't been booked well, and that's definitely not his fault whatsoever. That's entirely the creative team and the higher ups that kind of manage the way it is. But there's no doubt whatsoever he has excellent talent in the ring, even out of the ring with all the spears he does out there. So it was really the biggest shock that I felt in a long time. For it to be something so real, it's so heartfelt because you really feel bad because this is something you can't really control. This is beyond everyone's control, and the only thing we can really do now is hope and pray that he makes the speediest recovery as possible. And again, I'd love to see him back in the title picture because, again, he has not officially lost it. He relinquished it, and he's definitely worthy of being a top-level player, and as he's shown over the years.
Yeah, it was really like shocking to see. I didn't watch Raw live, but I saw this. I think it was around like 8 or 9 o'clock when I saw like just everything on like the internet and stuff about talking about Roman Reigns, and then I looked up the speech, and oh man, it's so hard to believe. It's so, as you guys have said, it's so sad and unfortunate, but I don't know. I feel like if anyone can beat it, it would be him. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks a lot. And I'm speaking of the human being, as we said, Joe and Noah. Like that's it's a terrible thing, and I can't help but feel for him and his family, and my heart goes out to all of them right now, and trying to send prayers to them for him to be strong. And it also sucks for Roman Reigns, the wrestler, because as you guys have mentioned, he hasn't lost the title. He didn't lose the title in a match, and now he's just gone. Which I don't know. I feel like I've said before that he is a very good competitor at this point. I definitely hated him for a long time, but at this point in his career, he's definitely been very sound and solid in the ring, and the way that he was put into the position that he was may not have been the best booking wise, but you can't help but feel for him right now.
yeah, I've made my feelings known on it a few times that I've thought he was a great wrestler and great on the mic. I just haven't been happy with the way he was booked. But after Monday night, there are certain things that happen, at least for me, from my perspective as a fan, there are certain things that happen in professional wrestling where something happens where I will connect with a wrestler that I didn't like in the past. And I hate to say it, but this is the moment for me with Roman Reigns. I hate that it had to be something this real because to me on Monday night, that's when Roman Reigns became Joe. And that's when I saw, okay, that's, if WWE can let him be that, I'll be 100% behind him. But even if not, it's like, it's just kind of jarring to me because a guy that I've booed for so long makes that kind of announcement, and all of a sudden, like, I don't want to say I feel bad, but it just changes my perspective on what professional wrestling really is. As great as it is, it's still just entertainment, and there's still real human beings behind the characters. And I don't feel bad for booing him. I'm not saying that, but it just put it into perspective for me, and I don't know if I'll be booing him again when he comes back. But we'll have to see, because hopefully that's something we'll have to find out, because like I said, I definitely want him to come back.
I've certainly not been a big fan of his as a wrestler and with the booking, but he has improved on the mic and everything. And even though I rooted against him being in main events and against him as a wrestler or in a wrestling match, but you would never wish this upon anybody. And now I certainly am rooting for him and to come back and be just fine and be maybe the biggest babyface ever, certainly that he's ever experienced. I think going through all this and hoping that he does make it back. He was on pace to continue his record. I think this year was the record that he went 4 straight WrestleMania main events, and then this year would have made it 5 if I'm not mistaken, and he was likely on pace to do that. So you'd hate to see someone derailed for something like this, and like we see, there's the old sports adage that you don't lose your job to injury. I know this is much worse than an injury, but you would hope that he can come back and be champion at some point again. But let's get back to the wrestling portion of things and kind of see how this changes the plans of Raw. Andre, we saw some face turns and a heel turn on Monday night.
Yeah, I didn't watch Raw live. I went back and watched, like you guys did, the video of his retirement, of Roman Reigns' retirement speech, and then I read some of the results of what had happened. So I didn't actually see this, other than that and some still photos. But I guess Elias turned babyface. So did Braun Strowman, and I actually did not see how that happened.
Chandler, did you see
Braun? I didn't. I saw Elias, but I didn't see Braun.
Okay, you want to take us through the Elias?
Elias, I don't know. I just saw a clip of him.
Okay.
I guess as usual, I'm the only one who suffers through the 3 hours of Raw
That is
live.
Monday Night Raw.
But I will admit, this week's Raw actually was very, very good.
I wish
for
I saw it.
Good and bad reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when it came to Elias's heel turn, it was a bit unexpected, since it was like not only a couple weeks ago where he had the crowd booing for at least 10 minutes straight, the loudest the crowd has ever been.
Segment.
Amazing, exactly. But so it was kind of almost out of nowhere to see him, hit Baron Corbin in the back with a guitar, which I gotta say, Elias actually has the best guitar shot in WWE. Sorry to Honky Tonk Man, sorry Jeff Jarrett, but Elias has got him beat because he can swing a guitar like it's nobody's business.
I'm going to jump in just for a second to disagree, because Jeff Jarrett would the Mae Young or the Moolah the guitar smash on Moolah was one of maybe the best I've ever seen. So, but you can't do that in this day and age. So I think that Elias is at a disadvantage. But
I'll say that Elias is the most consistent when it comes to great guitar shots.
Okay.
Perfectly executed on the back of somebody, and when the guitar explodes, it's a thing of beauty. And so it'll be interesting to see what comes of this, because I feel like this might be him moving to SmackDown, which probably would be good for him, since he is also a great talent that feels underutilized, being in the mid card. And then also, I'm not technically sure if Braun Strowman did a face turn, but it was more that Drew McIntyre is like aiming for Braun Strowman specifically. So I'm not sure what this will lead to. Possibly if the Crown Jewel still happens, and if hopefully Braun Strowman wins it, that Drew McIntyre will be the first one in line to face him for the Universal title, because I want to see Drew McIntyre in a main event picture.
Okay, can you say that again on what the plan is for the WWE or the Universal title?
So it's in the middle of the show, it was announced that for the vacated Universal title at Crown Jewel, if the event is happening or not, we're still unsure if it's even happening. Mm-hmm. It is Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for the vacant Universal title.
Okay, what do you guys think about that decision? Is that the best thing to do, or should this? Obviously, you can't help the timing, but they're doing a World Cup Best in the World tournament. I know that involves people from the other show, SmackDown, but it seems like this would be a place to do a tournament, potentially with maybe the champion being crowned at Survivor Series
for the Universal title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that, but if they're gonna keep it, if they're gonna have the title be defended that quickly at the next event, basically, this match I guess makes sense because it's pretty much the same match without Roman.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would definitely say that these two would both have a gripe or reason to a claim to the championship. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Do you think that these would be the number 1 and number 2 contender if that existed, the list?
As of right now for Raw, yeah,
okay.
Probably.
Who would your number 3 be? Just to throw that out there. Is it a guy like Rollins, even though?
Yeah, possibly either Rollins or McIntyre, maybe.
Okay. I like that. Andre, what do you think?
I think it has to be. I mean, I know as fans we want something else, but going into that event, it was a triple threat with the three of those. You take away the champion, you got two of those left. WWE is still, or who knows what's going on now, but Brock Lesnar, one way or another, is still getting paid for that event if it happens. And if he's getting paid as much money as he's probably getting paid, what other match are you going to have him in but for the vacated championship, which he was the last to hold before Roman had it? So it only makes sense. And a tournament, that would be fun, but like I said, they're paying Brock for that show. He has to, I don't know. The whole Roman Reigns thing just kind of threw a wrench into to everything, but yeah, I think these are the two best guys for it now, and then McIntyre is probably someone up in the wings. Rollins at some point, but Rollins is right now going to be dealing with newly turned heel Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, Aiden, you want to give us that?
So in the main event, it was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose representing the Shield as they came out as, doing as an honor to Roman Reigns. They came out to the Shield music and came down from the audience as in Shield fashion, and they took on Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler for the Raw Tag Team Championships and eventually got the victory. And in a swift turn of events, after hugging it out that they're holding up their championships, Dean Ambrose just hits Seth Rollins with the dirty deeds. And for the next, I believe, about nearly 10 minutes, it was just a hellacious beatdown where Dean Ambrose is just trash talking Seth Rollins as if he did something wrong and just beating him to near like almost like knocking him out, and then eventually making that lead outside the ring. And then the last thing that Dean Ambrose does is he rips off the mat from outside the ring, revealing the concrete underneath, and plants Seth Rollins again with another dirty deeds, and just kind of leaves him laying there as he then goes and ascends to where the fans were, where they just made their entrance not too long ago, and that's where the show ended, on a Seth Rollins knocked out and Dean in the top of the stands just looking down.
Now I heard that Seth Rollins did an excellent job of pleading at one point right after the dirty deeds, of pleading with him in a sense, and even what did he say, like something like it'll be okay or something like that. Even as he was
after the first dirty deeds in the ring, nice. He's like reaching out because for a brief moment, Dean Ambrose was like contemplating, what did I just do? Like almost like he doesn't know what he's doing at that moment, and finally makes the decision afterwards. But you can see that Seth Rollins plays it off well. Like it's fine. The tensions are high, especially with the announcement at the beginning of the show and how emotions are running wild. But it was played off very well, where you have the beginning of the show with just a complete shock, and then ending on another complete shock. That, a very high point for the ending, which came from what an incredibly low, sad point from the top of the show.
I didn't know that they won the tag team titles.
Yeah,
so
all of this happened.
So
and they're the tag team champions.
So yeah, I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great.
Also, it showed on SmackDown. They show the World Cup, like where they showed everyone who's involved, and you can see that the tag team championship is kind of photoshopped right onto Seth Rollins' render, as well as the Intercontinental Championship. And so it's kind of weird because I don't think after this next week they're gonna technically be tag champions anymore.
It will be interesting to see what they do with that storyline and the tag team titles and the Intercontinental Championship, because that's probably going to be something that those two are going to fight for.
That makes sense. I do like that they won the titles, though, to go into a budding rival, or a budding, I guess, series of matches potentially, also for the IC title. There was backlash on Twitter for them turning Ambrose so quick. Did you have any issue with that?
Some people, I didn't have an issue with it. Some people did, and then Tommy Dreamer called them out, and then Dave Meltzer called out Tommy Dreamer. Tommy
Dreamer didn't like the heel turn.
No, he liked the heel turn. He didn't like people hating on the heel turn.
Oh, okay.
And then Meltzer was kind of saying that I don't know. Meltzer, I understand where Meltzer was coming from because I didn't see Tommy Dreamer's original tweet, but I guess Tommy Dreamer said that you shouldn't watch wrestling if you think that was in poor taste. And I guess that's not the way to go about doing it. But at the same time, I don't see why it's a big deal that this happened. You know, the show still goes on, and as sad as it is, I guarantee you Roman Reigns is A-okay with a scripted event happening on the TV show. You know, it's not like he died.
No, but the one thing I heard rumor and innuendo about how the heel turn was actually planned for later on, and they kind of did like almost a last moment decision where, due to the unfortunate news at the beginning of the night, that it kind of made sense where, since emotions again were running so high, that kind of Ambrose just kind of snaps like under all that pressure, that he just can't take it anymore. He just takes out his frustrations on, unfortunately, Seth Rollins.
I mean, it makes sense to do it from a practical standpoint too, because you just lost your biggest baby face and your champion. So I'm sure, knowing WWE, knowing how they do things, that they've had Roman Reigns' title reign booked out from here till WrestleMania and probably beyond. So they probably had to shuffle around a lot of things, I would think.
What do you guys, Chandler, I'll go to you on this one, but what's Renee Young's commentary going to be like now?
Oh, that is a good question.
I mean, does she?
I'll note that during the aftermath of the main event, she was like completely silent.
Was she?
She was, yes. It was only Corey Graves and Michael Cole talking.
Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if she sides with Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
And maybe kind of, I feel like she'll still be herself like throughout the show, but whenever Dean is on or whatever he's doing, it's gonna seem kind of heelish from her because she's just gonna be on his side.
Yeah, is she maybe she'll offer excuses about maybe not using his medication, or I don't know. I mean,
Renee Young heel turn.
That would be saucy.
So then they'd have technically two heel color commentators, or I don't even know. Corey Graves
is mixed.
He runs the spectrum throughout the show. He's babyface one segment, he's heel another segment, he's indifferent another. But I love it though. I love it about him.
He's Mandy Rose all the time.
Yes, that is the one constant.
Oh my goodness.
Shut up, Saxon.
That's great.
Skipped. Oh my gosh, he's great.
She's great.
But he's great at what he does too, when he calls the matches and when he points things out that needs to be pointed out, as far as a storytelling standpoint, that I don't think a lot of people pick up, but people like us that have watched, that are nerds and we've watched it since forever, that we notice things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Corey Graves is still awesome at commentary, and even though you'd think he'd be a little bit overexposed, I don't know. I don't have any issue with it. And speaking of which, you talked about the commentary for the Mae Young Classic because we're getting a more similar Michael Cole to what we have seen him at his best, maybe in UK, compared to when he's got Vince McMahon on the headset behind him.
And that's definitely the feeling from watching the first 3 or 4 episodes. I can't remember how many I've watched, but watching the first 3 or 4 episodes of the Mae Young Classic this year, 2018. Yeah, his commentary, it's actually really good. He's doing play-by-play, calling the match.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening in the ring is what he's talking about, are the words that are coming out of his mouth, and it's great.
And surprising, too.
Yeah, and then he has Renee Young and Beth Phoenix with him on commentary as well, and the three of them work fantastic together.
Chandler, hypothetically speaking, if Sasha Banks... I can't speak right now. We're somehow in the Mae Young Classic.
It would still be pause time, and I would hate it.
Okay.
Gosh darn it.
Next question.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
I've got to see I've seen a couple episodes now, and I agree. I think the commentary was really good. It seemed like a different, more passionate Michael Cole for like what's actually going on and the right reasons, as opposed to, okay, I feign excitement here. And it is much better. Aiden, have you caught much of this?
I have not, unfortunately. I'm waiting until the semifinals and all of it, so I can just watch them all back to back, and then eventually watch the whenever the finals is at Evolution,
That's this Sunday, pal.
That's
Yes,
right.
it is. So
yeah.
I believe the semifinals are on either tonight or tomorrow night, something like that. So when that's done, I'm going to watch them all back to back.
Is it tonight? That could be a big night on the network. You got NXT.
Oh,
205
Wednesdays are
Live
huge.
is tonight.
Yeah, 205
UK
Live.
is Wednesdays right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed seeing the first episode of that. Was that last week?
Mhm.
Yes, and
I
I watched
got to
the
catch the second half of that after we
Yes.
did our show.
Yes.
Thought that was really good.
Such a good show already.
How do you feel? Is it Vic Joseph? Is he the commentary? How do you guys feel about having a North American commentary play-by-play guy on the UK show? I mean,
It's
I couldn't.
fine. It's all right.
It
I
was
mean,
it was
I
a
would
ways
prefer-
into it that I was like, hey, why do they have this
Yeah.
this jerko? But
I would prefer someone
but I don't know who.
find someone new in the UK.
Yeah.
Find someone, put them on, That's what I would prefer that. If it's NXT, it's quote unquote developmental, so that would make sense
Yeah.
for that show.
But I agree with you that commentary for the Mae Young Classic is, which is also would be on tonight if I'm not mistaken. So you got 4 great shows. 205. Maybe I'm jumping the gun on calling that great, but it has the potential to be great.
Trust me, tonight's episode was pretty great.
Oh yeah, you saw that? Is
Yes.
that what's kind of leading off Wednesdays at 6 if you're Central Time Zone?
Yes, I watched both 205 Live, NXT UK, and NXT.
What made 205 Live a good episode tonight?
It was the episode with the Falls Count Anywhere match between Hideo Itami and Mustafa Ali.
Okay.
Wow, that sounds like it would be really good.
Yeah.
It was, trust me.
Should we talk about Evolution here? We got that's our pay-per-view for the week, so we'll get some previewing of that. Are these in any order, Andre, that you want to go in? Or is this we don't really know?
I pulled this from a website online. I can't remember which website, probably I think CBS Sports or something like that, or maybe Cage Seats. I don't know. So I don't think there's an order yet.
Okay.
And I don't even know if there's a full card yet. I feel like there might be more women in the Battle Royal, but I don't know. But that's what they have so far, minus the Mae Young Classic Finals and the NXT Women's Championship match, because those aren't fully live yet as far as who's in the. They're taped, but they've happened, but they haven't happened on TV yet.
The storyline
Or on
has yet
network.
to advance.
Thank you. Yes.
Via
the network.
yes. I kind of like that though, because then we can maybe put what we would want to see first and in the main event. But Chandler, do you want to go down this card with us?
Yeah, so we have a last woman standing match for the SmackDown Women's title, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. The first ever, if I'm not mistaken, for WWE at least.
Main roster, yes.
Main roster, yep. So, oh man, this match is going to be great. Next, we have the Raw Women's Championship, Ronda Rousey defending against Nikki Bella. The NXT Women's Championship, Kairi Sane will defend against Shayna Baszler in a rematch. And as we said, both the Mae Young Classic Finals and the NXT UK Women's Championship will be determined. And then there will be a Battle Royal for a shot, or future title shot, where we have Alicia Fox, Alundra Blaze, Asuka, Billie Kay, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Ember Moon, Ivory, Kelly, Lana, Mandy Rose, Maria Kanellis, Michelle McCool, Molly Holly, Naomi, Nia Jax, Peyton Royce, Sonya Deville, Tamina, Tori Wilson, Zelina Vega, and I'm sure
There'll be some surprises.
there will
we'll
be more
see.
than that.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, Tamina.
But-
That's weird. I don't know. Maybe did she
I think
come
she
back?
I think she just recently came back.
Okay.
From
Yes, 2
injury.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
And you did forget the 2
so she's due for an injury.
tag matches as well. Oh my god.
I know it's evil, but Jesus. All right, let's go back to the top.
Evil's in New Japan. Bro.
Jesus, where's he?
Well, it depends on what you believe. I don't want to get into the illogical discussion right now.
All right.
There are those 2 tag team matches too that you didn't mention, Chandler. The
Which ones?
Trish and Lita
ones in
versus
red.
Mickie James,
Oh yeah.
Alexa
Duh.
Bliss, and then Sasha. Well, I guess one's a 6-woman tag
Mhm.
match.
But there are those as well that I did not mention.
For this Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, I want to go back to the segment last night on SmackDown, and it was probably shown on social media over the weekend of Charlotte kind of giving a NXT Performance Center speech, which I also did not like Shayna Baszler being there, by the way. I think she's above this.
Oh yeah.
I've really come around. Like, I know we used to just despise her, but I love Shayna Baszler matches.
She's great.
I can't wait till she comes out. I think she's one of the best parts about NXT, and there's plenty of great things about NXT right now. But
I didn't like her in that segment either. I didn't like having her in that segment, but I liked her in that segment because all the other girls were shocked, and she just kind of had this like look on her face, like, yeah, that's what's up. That's what it's about. And I kind of like that because it fit her character. Although she probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. Sorry to interrupt.
No, I actually like your spin on that, and maybe that's a good.
Well, she's the one I paid most attention to because, like you, I love Shayna Baszler. So I was like, oh, she's on this. This is interesting. I gotta see, because as soon as Charlotte started talking, I knew what was gonna happen. So I was like, okay, I gotta see what her Shayna Baszler's reaction to this is gonna be.
So yeah, I also don't like things about this segment, like Charlotte talking about getting into character and stuff like that. I mean, I know we're at an age where kayfabe is
what you make of it.
Yes, but I didn't like that. I don't like that they showed that on. They could have edited that part out, and I think you can get away with maybe things like that in other places or on a social media. But I don't like doing it on Raw or SmackDown where you're talking about getting into character. That really irked me. Did you have an issue with that?
That I did. And for the record, this is probably the best feud going right now. On
main roster,
the main roster, period. Okay. Because the Miz and Daniel Bryan's kind of been put on the back burner for now. But even when they were going, it was between these two. And that segment in and of itself wasn't bad by any means, but I think the Charlotte segment was, not because it was bad, but it was just too long. They should have just been like, she gave a speech at the Performance Center and then just shown like maybe a snippet or two and then shown when Becky Lynch came. But I feel like the speech was longer than the actual attack.
It really was. I was watching it, waiting for Becky to show up because I think it was on social media over the weekend, right? Like that wasn't a new.
No, it was.
Was that just first shown, or maybe it was written about? I don't know why, but okay. But there was no reason for that segment to go as long as it did, and it did go on forever, and that part didn't bother me as much as Shayna being in it and Charlotte talking about getting into character. You can't talk about getting into character on SmackDown. I don't like that.
I don't either. I didn't like that.
You might as well show her walking up to the gorilla position.
To mix it, to have her be out of character, but then for Becky Lynch to come in character. I mean, I know they're trying to blur the lines with Becky, and for the record, Becky's part in this segment was on point as usual.
She was unaffected. I didn't.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying
I'm
in general. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just weird because they're trying to blur the lines with her and how they're booking her, I feel, and Charlotte. But I think this was just too much because there comes a point, because as fans we want to get lost in it, and there comes a point where where they acknowledge they're fake too much. Well, they don't, but this, not in general, not a lot, but in this particular segment, that's what it did to me. It just made me feel like, I can't get lost in the fantasy right now because you said getting into character.
Did either of you guys see this?
Yeah, I saw this, and I don't know. It did feel like Charlotte went on too long, but I don't feel like the getting into character thing killed it as much for me. I definitely felt a little weird about it, like, but
it's more on editors, I think, than like just don't put that in it.
That one part.
She can say that, and then whatever, you messed up. It's not live. We don't use it. But for WWE to use that, I think that was a mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It
didn't hurt him too much, though. I don't think.
Yeah,
I agree. It's weird.
It's weird, but I don't know if I feel that strongly about it as you do. I don't know. It doesn't bother me as much, I guess.
All right.
But I understand where you're coming from. It's just because, like you said, in this day, it's kayfabe isn't really a thing
barely
anymore.
Hanging on.
So so it makes sense from that standpoint. I guess that's where I kind of see it from. But at the same time, absolutely, it doesn't actually make sense to say that, like you said, on SmackDown on television. It wouldn't. Yeah.
Aiden, I feel like somebody crapped in my cereal. What do you think?
Well, I don't know who did that, but I just wanted
Mother!
I just want to mention that this is the go-home show for Evolution, and this is what they do for their the SmackDown's big feud right now. That they show what feels like a more scripted than usual segment that took place like days before during the weekend, instead of having like Charlotte and Becky could have just been like in the ring just like beating each other, and that would I feel like would have been better as a what should have been the big highlight moment before Evolution. So it feels like kind of weak. Like this maybe should have been like a couple weeks ago instead of 5 days before the all women's pay-per-view that they've been hyping up.
I agree with you. I think that the cutting edge segment should have been last night, but that was destined to be the best segment because the best segment of the 2 weeks, this week and last, because it was SmackDown 1000.
I'm just saying they could have tried a little harder.
I agree with you on that part.
Or they could have just fudged the numbers and made SmackDown 1000 this week.
Yeah.
They could have just replayed the segment from last week.
Or they could have done that
taped
segment.
for so long. Yeah,
they could have done that segment, cut out most of her speech, and just shown the beatdown, and then have another segment with them to either backstage or in the arena or something. But they've gotten physical a lot, so I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's. I'll put it this way: it's been the best built-up feud for this entire pay-per-view, and one of the best built-up feuds of the year, period. So I'm not going to complain too much about this segment. And like I said, Becky Lynch was great in the segment. My complaints about Charlotte are that, not necessarily about her per se, but just the line that we talked about and then the length of it. But it didn't bother me. It did bother me, but not as much as it did you, and not as little as it did Chandler, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is.
So I think this match this is one of two matches that will be kind of the wrestling nerds main event, but I think the one that will likely go on last is going to be Ronda Rousey and Nikki Bella. What do you guys think will actually go on last?
I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were to go on last. I would say it's probably between that and Trish Stratus and Lita versus Mickie James and Alexa Bliss, just because of Trish and Lita.
That could be a good opener too, just because
could.
You get Lita's music or something like that right away.
Mm-hmm. But it sucks saying that because everything that Andre said is true. It's definitely hands down one of the best feuds of the year. It's the best feud going right now, I think, in the entire main roster. And to not have that go on last, to have Nikki Bella and Ronda Rousey, which I don't want to discredit either of them, but at the same time, that matchup compared to Becky Lynch and Charlotte, which in everything that they've had going on this entire feud, it makes no sense to not close the show out. And it's the first ever last woman standing match. Why wouldn't you close the show with that at Evolution and have that be the stamp? You call it Evolution. You say there's been a women's revolution or evolution, whichever one it is at this point, because I feel like it's been both. But have the show close with the title match that is a first time ever match, but it's most likely gonna be the Raw Women's Championship.
And who's the most over? Is it Becky or is it Ronda? I don't watch enough Raw to know. I know
it's
that
Becky.
It's Becky.
Come on.
Then that should be
Becky.
the last match.
Yes, I agree that should obviously be the last match. Again, the stipulation makes it worthy enough in of itself to be the last match. And unfortunately, we all know it's going to be the second to last because it's Nikki Bella, and unfortunately, the Bellas kind of have a grip on the women's division right now because of their star power. And yet, it's so easy to fix this one match by making it a 2-on-1 handicap match. Ronda Rousey's clearly capable enough to take on both Bellas at once, and yet they didn't take the opportunity, and yet it's just going to be Nikki Bella with Brie interfering versus Ronda Rousey, who puts her in an armbar anyways. And this could be another opportunity to put a double armbar on, because that was great last time.
They could have done the Undertaker-Kane route, too, where they do the triple threat. That's not a triple threat. Undertaker, Kane, Stone Cold. I know that might be a little before your time, but yeah, I like that triple threat or that handicap match idea.
It's right in front of them, and they didn't take it.
Just how do you do that with the title on the line?
The same way they did it with Lay Cool.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't even think.
And then they can each
What?
have one half of the title.
I mean, they can just like both hold up the championship because even though they wouldn't win anyways, if they happen to possibly even come close to beating Ronda Rousey, then they could just have the title between both of them. But that will never happen.
Freebird a single title.
No, New Day a single title.
Oh.
I stand corrected.
And you're the one who came up with that rule.
So New Daying it, wouldn't that have to be 3, not 2?
You know.
So wouldn't that be Lay cooling it?
Sharing is carrying a New Day rocks.
I mean, to be fair, Nikki Bella plus Brie Bella equals one women's wrestler.
Ouch. I wouldn't go that
I was going to
far.
say an orgasm.
Oh my goodness.
We're
No
off the rails
comment.
here.
I went PG with that one.
Sorry. Forgot what era we're
The views of Frony are those of Frony and Frony alone. They do not necessarily reflect the views of the Schmozcast and or its affiliates. Did that sound professional enough? Sorry. I'm just joshing your Frony.
No, that's okay. I deserve it. What the match that I think
deserve it.
the match that I think will be, when said and done, the match of the night, as long as they get enough time, as always, will be Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. We've already talked a little bit about our love of Shayna and how she's turned us around since she debuted. But her and Kairi, this one's already. They've already had some good matches, so that I think adds to this one. But is this the potential curtain jerker?
It could be. I feel like the NXT UK Women's Championship could also, or the Mae Young Classic final could. I feel like that probably is going to be what starts the show is the Mae Young Classic final. I feel like that would be. I would hope that the NXT Women's Championship wouldn't be first, just because I'm definitely this
way.
match could, as excited as I am for Becky Lynch and Charlotte, this match could steal the show 100%. And besides the SmackDown Women's Championship match, this is the match that I'm looking forward to the most.
I think this Becky Lynch and Charlotte, such a good feud, but I definitely think that this one might end up being, I don't know, it's tough to pick between which one I think is going to be better between these two matches as I'm looking at it now and trying to figure out what I'm going to say that's going to be like, that's what I believe, but I can't pick between these
What's the
two.
series at? Is it 2-1 Kyrie?
It's Shayna's never beaten Kairi
Oh,
Sane.
still.
No,
Okay.
I believe they had one match on NXT where Shayna won.
When
They
was
did.
that?
It was between TakeOver Brooklyn 4 and the Mae Young. It was in between that time.
Was it a title match?
No.
Okay. Okay.
It was before Shayna had the title, I believe.
Because they've wrestled then 3 times and 2 of the times before the title, and
That's
both
what
times
yeah.
Shayna lost.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Right?
2-1 Sane.
Because
It was the Mae Young Classic.
which was for the title, right? Or was
That
that for?
was for the Mae Young Classic.
But was that for just number 1 contendership, or was
That
that
was
for
nothing.
That was for the
Nothing?
Mae Young
Oh,
Classic.
Just for
okay.
the-
Just for
just
the
for
words.
the big trophy.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a title in and of itself.
Yeah,
so
sure.
there. Okay.
It's an award.
2-1.
A title.
But we all know that Kairi Sane can beat Shayna.
Yes. And that's who I'm rooting for
I don't
coming
know
into this
that.
match.
I mean, she can and she has obviously in the past, but Shayna's got her back against the wall right now, and I don't know. I feel like she might upset
She's gonna win it.
Kairi.
Yeah, she's gonna get her title back.
All right. I want to go around the room and see if this is unanimous. But Aiden, starting with you, the 2 matches, your top 2 matches for Sunday, or the 2 that you're looking forward to most.
Obviously, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair will be the one I'm looking forward to the most, only because the stipulation will obviously prove to be kind of, at this point in their feud, to be almost like a last, not sure what the word I'm looking for is.
Hurrah?
No, not hurrah. It's like
I like hurrah.
I feel like this won't be the end of it, but I feel like it's like a final a statement needs to be made. Like, this is definitive. Like, whoever wins this, like, truly is like the undisputed SmackDown Women's Champion. Because kind of like how Hell in a Cell used to be, where I guess when it came to a boiling point, that was the stipulation that can only end all problems. But obviously, then second would be Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane.
Okay, Chandler?
Yeah, it's the same for me. SmackDown Women's Championship, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair is definitely what I'm looking forward to the most at this point, and second would be the NXT Women's Championship. But I'm really excited for both the Mae Young Classic Final and the NXT UK Women's title matches. I'm excited for both of those, and I don't really at this point know. I've stayed away from finding out who are gonna, because that's determined already for both matches, right? Who's gonna be in them?
Both they've been taped. They have not or are playing right now.
Yeah, okay.
But stay tuned to our show right here on 103.5 The Sun, WLSP LP, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.
Yes. I'm the potential for both of those, and I haven't even seen the entire Mae Young Classic.
It's hard because we would go into those a lot, but we don't want to give spoilers. But those are two matches that I think also, had we had the competitors in there, we would also say is in contention for the top two. But as we see them now, I think you got to go with NXT and SmackDown.
Yep, for sure.
Andre.
Yeah, those two matches for sure. But since we've talked about those two at length, I'll do my next two, which I think I'm looking forward to Trish and Lita, seeing them. I know it's just a tag match, but I'm looking forward to seeing them against Bliss and James. I don't necessarily know. I understand Mickie James and Trish's issues, but I don't consider Mickie James like Alexa Bliss in the sense of where she's a newer star. I still consider her back from that kind of era. So it's kind of a weird pairing, but I'm still looking forward to it. And then, I don't know, I guess, I don't know how I feel. I'm not a big fan of the Battle Royal. I love Battle Royals, and I think it'll be fun, but
this is just a name to get as many names on the show, right?
I think they could have done more with some of the competitors in the Battle Royal.
You don't like Tamina?
No, I don't. I'm saying they could have done more with some of the competitors. Like Asuka should be in a singles match at Evolution. Is basically what I'm getting at more than anything else. And
I feel
Jax
like Ember Moon
too.
should too.
Ember Moon and Asuka should be a singles match.
Room. There's
itself.
room.
Those two could have been a singles match.
Maria Kanellis. What the hell?
Don't hate on Maria Kanellis.
Hey, she's on 205 Live, and she's not doing anything.
She's in the Battle Royal for the future title shot at
that's
any
what
of the.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I haven't seen that name in quite a while.
Yeah, her and Mike Kanellis are back on 205 Live.
I knew Mike Kanellis was.
Mike Kanellis is. I've got to. How was he looking on 205 Live?
He is looking all right.
In ring, I mean, obviously.
Not bad. He had a match with a Lindsay Dorado tonight, and he kept up with his high flying pretty well.
Because he's in a lot better shape now than he was last time he was active, so I'm curious if that translated in ring. But anyways, I'm sorry to interrupt our Evolution talk, because this is actually about Evolution.
I'm kind of worried about this Trish Stratus and Lita match. I think this has dumpster fire potential. I think this could be really bad. And Trish Stratus is my favorite female of all time. Not just female wrestler or female superstar or whatever. I'm saying she's my number one over Peyton Royce, who is my fiance and is going to win the Battle Royal.
Keep dreaming, kid.
I will.
You should watch Up, Down, Down. One of the most recent Superstar plays is
Superstar Save Point.
Save Point, sorry.
Yeah.
Is the Iconics, and it's
two parts,
and it's great. Peyton Royce is awesome, as is Billy Kay. But anyways, continue. Sorry.
I agree. No, I'm not a big Billy Kay guy. I'm a big Peyton Royce guy, though. I don't know. The Trish Stratus and Lita thing, I'm really worried that this could be a botch fest and not well paced. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but I think that this might not go very well. This could be the first match of the night too, like I said. But Chandler and Aiden, what do you guys think?
Well, on Raw they build it as old versus new, and yet 3 out of 4 of them are from the same era.
Pretty
where
much.
The only new person is Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
And while Alexa Bliss is great, I mean, shouldn't she have somebody newer?
It should be Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax because they have heat, so they can. You gotta have a tag. I mean, I think when you have these two, Trish and Lita, that haven't wrestled in a while, you can fall back on that storyline where they can. Not coexist as a tag team.
What I feel like would be a little better, not because that's a great idea in itself, but to go with a somewhat newer, competitor would be Alicia Fox, since she and Alexa Bliss already, have, I don't know if they've tagged before, but they've obviously been, Alicia's been at ringside for her in a couple matches, and then that would make sense where they bill it as old versus new.
Wait, don't you mean, how do you say her name, Chandler?
Alicia Fox.
I can't do that.
The beautiful Alicia Fox.
Who's in the Battle Royal, by the way?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Alundra Blaze is in the Battle Royal. That's going to be cool to see.
That's so weird. I did not.
She's a legend. What are you talking
She
about?
was also in the Women's Royal Rumble, wasn't she?
I think she was, yeah.
I think each of the legends in the Battle Royal were also in the Royal Rumble as well. Tori Wilson, Molly Holly, Kelly Ivory.
Will there be surprises?
I think so.
Who will Michelle McCool sleep with on the roster? Or is that Kelly? Sorry.
Well, Michelle McCool sleeps with The Undertaker, but
come on,
that's
this
neither
is
here
the
nor
PG
there.
era from the
Oh, sorry.
This is the Attitude Era.
Kelly
Vince
gets around,
Russo.
they say.
So they say.
So they say.
For me to be more invested in this and for it to, I don't know. I'm definitely excited for it, but I feel like with this being the first ever all women's pay-per-view, as they've said to this as many times as they said at this point, and it is important. It's a big step. It's a big thing. I feel like they could have had more singles matches. They could have had a couple tag team matches besides the two that they have. They could have had, I don't know, for the Trish Stratus Lita match, something that I would do, especially because this whole rivalry is played out on Monday Night Raw. I'd put Ember Moon and Alexa Bliss if you're gonna build it old versus new versus Trish Stratus and Lita. That's just personally what I would do, and it gets her out of that match. I don't know. I just feel like it's just slapped together, as you guys have said, to just get more names on the pay-per-view, and I guess that's important too. It is giving people a shot that otherwise wouldn't. But at the same time, I kind of feel like they would have done more with, I don't know. It's weird. I have a weird mixed feeling about it.
With everything going on, it feels like it's kind of an afterthought with Crown Jewel and everything else. And I don't know.
It's a bigger deal than Crown Jewel. It's a way bigger deal
I
than
think
Crown
so.
Jewel.
It should be. And it should have been promoted more. And it should have been, I don't know. I feel like there should have been more bigger matches. Like I said, I think Asuka versus Ember Moon should have been a singles match. There's a lot you can do. And as far as a Battle Royal, you can still do a Battle Royal. You can just use, people from, they're women from NXT. They signed a handful of women just recently, like Chelsea Green and Diana Perazzo and a couple other people that maybe we will see those people in the Battle Royal as well. But I don't know. There's a few names that should be in more prominent roles.
Yep.
And I feel like it should have been promoted more. I feel like we've heard a lot more about Crown Jewel than we have about Evolution. And that, to me, I don't know. I don't like it when WWE is trying to claim to be progressive as far as women's wrestling is concerned. And they call it Evolution, but it still feels like it's a side. It's secondary to Crown Jewel, and the irony of it being Crown Jewel as of now is in Saudi Arabia, which is not exactly a country that you can equate with women's rights. So it's a weird dynamic, and I wish Evolution was promoted more, and I wish it was a bigger deal, or made a bigger deal by WWE throughout the weeks leading up to it. It will be made a big deal on Sunday itself, of course.
Aiden, what's your excitement level, and do you think WWE's done enough to promote this in comparison to Crown Jewel, or is Crown Jewel still the story because of what's going on over there?
Well, the rumor in innuendo is that Crown Jewel might not even happen, even though most likely it will happen since they've done enough work where they can't really just cancel it at this moment. But unfortunately, that it did, even though I believe it was announced later than Evolution, Evolution has obviously gotten less promotion than need be and deserves to be for such a historic event, and yet the card is like half and half, where like half of the matches are going to be good and the other half probably might not be. But I like to be optimistic and say that this is just going to be experimental, where they see how this does and what the reception is, and then they kind of go off of that, and like then they try again maybe next year, next October we have a Evolution 2, or we have
Still evolving.
or they kind of play it off of this one where they just go even bigger and better. That's just, like I said, I like to be optimistic.
My hope in the future is that they do continue to do this at least once a year, and then next year, since it will not be the first, I don't feel like they have to get every single female on the roster. Maybe next year they can just go by who is the best. But how much do you think is riding on these two matches that we don't really know that much about with Mae Young and NXT UK? I mean, we all think that those will be in our top 4, even though we don't quite know who's in the match. But how much is riding on kind of these unknowns or lesser knowns that to make this a great show?
I mean, that's what I'm banking on, it being a good show. So everything is riding on the shoulders of those matches. I would say I'm just as excited for those 2 matches as the 2 title matches that we mentioned earlier. So it's crazy to say that, because as you said, they're gonna be relative unknowns. Not that they aren't experienced or haven't wrestled anywhere, but to this audience on this scale, they're gonna be relative unknowns. But they are, to me, some of the most important parts of the show.
I just want to clarify. I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view in and of itself. My critique is simply of WWE and their presenting of the pay-per-view. I have no doubt in my mind that every single woman on the roster, or on the card, I should say, is going to come out guns blazing and gonna put on a great show.
Alundra blazing?
Ha!
Well,
Very,
one of them
very
will be
good.
doing that.
Yes, and that they're gonna knock it out of the park, and it's gonna be very entertaining. It's gonna be very good, and we're gonna be thoroughly entertained, even if some of the matches aren't what we wanted or the promotion wasn't what we wanted. This is the first women's pay-per-view ever. I have no doubt in my mind that they're all gonna knock it out the park.
Aiden, final thoughts?
Well, I also am looking forward to it because, again, with the Mae Young Classic Finals and the NXT UK Women's Championship does have a lot of potential to really be showstoppers and have that making the majority of the pay-per-view worthwhile. So, but I don't know if everything would be riding on it, because the matches that we have been advertised are still strong ones of themselves, especially Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, as well as Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler. Ronda Rousey, Nikki Bella, not so much. That's just me though. But so I'm again optimistic that this will be a good show and will lead to greater things in the future.
Chandler, I'm having a hard time getting excitement for this. It's not that I don't think it'll be good or it's anything necessarily on these ladies, but more so just lack of faith in the overall main roster product right now. Is that fair? Is it misplaced blame?
I don't know if that's entirely fair. I mean, I get where you're coming from for a couple of these matches, but overall, I think overall it's gonna be it's a solid enough card just looking at it like on paper to get hype over, to get excited about.
Is it inappropriate to wish that there was a bra and panties match?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, one can hope. Here I am.
Crony, jump
it just
into
wouldn't be you,
2018,
yeah.
pal.
If I could just have one
It's not
dream,
98.
one dream about this event, I want Alundra Blaze to recreate that iconic moment in WCW, except she just drops the old Divas Championship into the trash can and making the women's division official now, more official than it is. You know, putting the Divas stuff from the past in the trash.
Yeah, all she did pull the women's championship out of the trash at her Hall of Fame speech.
So now she can replace it.
Yeah.
But the Divas Championship.
All
Or
right.
Michelle McCool will give it to her.
That's right. That about does it for our show. Next week, you can expect to hear more from this crazy Crown Jewel stuff. And, of course, we'll be reviewing some of the happenings tonight. And, of course, Sunday's Women's Evolution. Chandler, they can catch us on social media.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and
YouTube.
get caught up on YouTube on demand at the Schmozcast.
There you go. All right. Have a good week and enjoy Women's Evolution.
Hi, this is Molly McCardle.
Hi, this is Diego GM.
Hi, this is Tatum Stovall.
You're listening to 103.5 FM WLSP LP Sun Prairie, Wisconsin.